back to ACB Wrestling Talk, your main source for wrestling news and wrestling discussions. I'm, of course, your host, Alexis Carrillo, and let's get into some wrestling talk. But before we do that, it's 2020. It's the brand new full year, whatever that means. It's 2020, and we've got a lot of things to look forward to for professional wrestling in this year. And hopefully, you all had some great holiday season with your families. So just wanted to put that out there. But for now, let's get right into the actual wrestling talk. And of course, professional wrestling is a very popular sports entertainment venture in today's world. And due to its popularity, it brings out a lot of controversial topics. And one controversial topic that ended last year, 2019, was the final segment of 2019's Monday Night Raw. Of course, Lana and Bobby Lashley's wedding, in which, after a few exes from each, from the bride and the groom appeared, Liv Morgan came out and declared her love for one of the about-to-be-wed superstars. Now, most of the fans assumed that it was going to be Bobby Lashley, and Liv Morgan quickly put that to rest and declared that Lana was the love of her life. That was one of the most shocking moments in recent professional wrestling history. Sorry, a little bit under the weather. So with that said, there have been quite a bit of fans and quite a bit of wrestlers on social media voicing their displeasure with this storyline plot twist, with this reveal. Mentioning the fact that why use something, that is clearly an LGBTQ plus storyline as just shock value. Because as a society, we should have already moved past that. And I agree with that. As a society, we should already be able to normalize everything. All these kinds of relationships. We should be able to normalize that, right now. There should be no problem, there should be no issue with this storyline. So here's what I'm going to say about this entire plot twist, about this entire storyline. And the fact is, most of you will not agree with me, most of you will not like my opinion, but the fact is, it's my opinion and it's all subjective. So, with that said, here goes. Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, Wednesday Night Dynamite, Wednesday Night NXT, Tuesday Night Impact Wrestling on Access TV. Sorry. They all have one thing in common. They are TV shows. They have, yes, athletes who portray characters on television that are involved in storylines. That's pretty damn clear. There's a sports entertainment venture in which they're on a TV show and they portray characters and storylines on TV. And just like any TV show that has characters and storylines, you portray them and you use them at your benefit. Whereas some shows in today's world may portray LGBTQ plus storylines as normal, which most fans should agree, as do I, agree that that should be the case and that should be the standard for us going into this brand new decade. Other shows might still portray these storylines, these plot twists, these reveals, these relationships as shocking, as shock value. And in the world of entertainment, in the world of TV shows, they all have inherent value. They all have the same value, once you start on that road. It depends on how you end it. It depends on what twists and turns it later takes. but it's up to the choice of the creative team. And in this case, WWE's creative team, this time on Raw, decided to go for this shocking reveal. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, let me point this out. Raw is a TV show where, yes, athletes and professional wrestlers portray characters and portray storylines on TV. Just want to make that pretty damn clear. At least that's from my view. So, is that to say that wrestling fans who are against, this reveal and this storyline being a shocking reveal or being a shocking plot twist or being used for shock value, rather, or is it to say that they are wrong? No, they just have a completely different view. Not a wrong view. They just have a different view. Would I have done this differently? Of course. Of course. But one thing we do have to keep in mind is that in this entire mess of a storyline between Lana, Lashley, and Rusev, now you have to insert Liv Morgan in this entire reveal on supposed lesbian relationship between Lana and Liv Morgan, which is unclear is the actual outcome, because in the past, WWE has, bait and switched us quite a bit. Let's not forget that in this storyline, Lana has revealed to the audience, a live audience, that she is pregnant with Rusev's son, with Rusev's baby, only to later reveal that she is not. It was just a ruse to try to get Lashley to beat up Rusev. So again, tonight's Monday Night Raw. Tonight we get to see another chapter in this entire storyline, and if anything, it's going to get viewers and it's going to get butts in those seats, which is what WWE wants. We have yet to see if this actually goes through the way fans are assuming it will go through. And that's just how it is. That's just the world we live in. It's the world where something happens and we judge it like that. Remember last year when Bray Wyatt premiered and debuted on the Firefly Funhouse, and everyone, and I mean everyone, not only dumped on WWE and WWE's creative team, but they also dumped on the fact that such a great character like Bray Wyatt was being thrown out as a Blues Clues knockoff. Fast forward a few months later, fast forward into the new year, he's the Universal Champion. He's the hottest thing on SmackDown. He's one of the most popular characters in WWE today. So it all goes to say that just wait and see, wait and see how it transpires. And then when you have sufficient data, when you have sufficient segments, maybe throw out a judgment. But that's just my view. What do you think? Do you think that WWE portrayed this shocking twist, this shocking reveal in the correct way in your view, or should they have done it very differently? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in a comment section below. And of course, tonight is Monday Night Raw, which means we have quite a bit, we have quite a bit of topics to touch upon for tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. Number one, the fallout from the wedding. We already touched upon that. But we also got the return of the Beast Incarnate. We got the return of the WWE Champion Brock Lesnar returning to Monday Night Raw. And the biggest question here is, well, there's actually two questions. Number one, who is going to be his challenger for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble in Houston on January 26th? That's question number one, and we might find that out tonight. But the biggest question for me is, which babyface on the current Monday Night Raw roster is at a level in which he portrays a credible enough threat to Brock Lesnar? Kevin Owens, he's stuck in the middle of a feud with Seth Rollins. Rey Mysterio, he had his chance. He blew it. That's it. Rey Mysterio is out. Samoa Joe, he's recently returning back from an injury. He doesn't have any momentum behind him, and at least not enough to challenge for the WWE Championship. So again, what babyface is going to step up and challenge Brock Lesnar for the WWE title? We also got the aftermath of Rollins and AOP versus Owens and Joe. Samoa Joe, I've been loving the Samoa Joe character for the past 2 weeks. The way he stood his ground on the commentary team 2 weeks ago before he was attacked by the AOP, loved it. Loved it. The fact that last week, this past Monday, Samoa Joe just came out, and he came out for the first time as a babyface, I believe. And the fact that, the fact that Rollins and AOP were beating down on Kevin Owens, and then you heard that music that for a babyface just, it just causes you to pop. And the way you talk to the security, that was pretty damn cool too. We also got Becky Lynch making her match with Asuka official for the Raw Women's title at the Royal Rumble 2020. They could have played more into the storyline that Becky Lynch's contract was coming up, and the fact that Becky Lynch was the golden goose, and you could have had, who's the Raw commissioner? Stephanie McMahon coming out and begging Becky Lynch to stay and offering everything and anything for her to stay and re-sign with Monday Night Raw. Well, they didn't do that. They just had Becky Lynch come out in a backstage interview segment and just state that, she's going to face Asuka at the Rumble because that's what she wants, and she gets what she wants or she leaves. And that's that. That's the entirety of the storyline. Missed opportunity for the WWE creative team. And we've also got 2 title matches scheduled for tonight's Monday Night Raw. Number 1, Andrade defends his newly won United States Championship against Rey Mysterio. Andrade should retain, no doubt. Again, I was not pleased with the fact that last week, commentary and a lot of superstars were, making up excuses as to why Andrade was able to defeat Rey Mysterio for the U.S. title. I understand. They didn't have to, come out and say the fact that Rey Mysterio wasn't at 100%. They should have assumed that wrestling fans, their audience, is smart enough to realize and assume that Rey Mysterio wasn't at 100% without you straight up telling us. You know what they did? They, devalued Andrade's win. They devalued, like that, Andrade's U.S. Championship title reign. And I don't know, that might hurt him in the future. We'll just have to wait and see. That's not my decision to be made. But as far as tonight, Andrade gets the win over Rey Mysterio. And we also got a triple threat Raw Tag Team title match. Triple threat Raw Tag Team title match in which the Viking Raiders, who, yes, are unstoppable, who are very dominant, who are the current tag team champions, but as characters and as a tag team and as tag team champions, I could not care less about them right now. That's not a personal decision, that's just the way they've been booking them. They get to face against the best tag team in the world, the OC, and also the most entertaining tag team on Monday Night Raw, the Street Profits. So who comes out of this triple threat match with the tag team title gold? The OC. I think the OC and the Viking Raiders are going to be heading into a major title feud. And the Street Profits, well, they're going to come into play a little bit later in the year. More on that next. With the third segment for today's episode of ACB Wrestling Talk. And the fact is that 2020 has begun. This is the first Wrestling Talk episode of 2020, and it's Monday night, so we look at the 5 WWE RAW Superstars to look for, or to look at, in a new year in 2020. Number 1, Drew McIntyre. Drew freaking McIntyre. The chosen one, if you may. The man who should be the top heel in WWE Monday Night Raw today, instead of Brock Lesnar. He should have been already a world champion by this point. He's got the look, He's got the mic ability. He's got the in-ring wrestling ability. He's got the, the physicality. He's got the look that you want and that Vince McMahon wants. So why haven't they done it? I don't know. Will Drew McIntyre end 2020 at least a former world champion? Maybe even current world champion? I have no doubt about that. I have no doubt about that at all. Because if he doesn't, then creative team has let its fans down once again. Number 2, Aleister Black. Aleister Black is a character that you need to protect. Aleister Black is a character that you need to build up. He could be, the Batman to Bray Wyatt's Fiend's Joker. He could be. But in order for him to get there, you need to build him up. You need to give him wins. You need to protect his character, his aura, his presence in that ring. And for the most part, that should be one of WWE's best or most highest priorities on their list. That's just me. Number 3, again, brand new United States champion, Andrade. He's a brand new U.S. champion. He's got the in-ring ability to, put anybody in the current WWE roster to shame. But again, they haven't done him any favors so far with making up excuses for his title win over Rey Mysterio. Honestly, I think Andrade versus Rey Mysterio should happen at WrestleMania this year. A passing of the torch. Rey Mysterio should be on his way out. And he should pass the torch to Andrade, not to his son Dominic, which, all due respect to Dominic, we don't really care about him. We don't really care about his character yet. We haven't seen him in the ring yet. Eventually, he might come into the fold. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't see 2020 being that year for Dominic. I do see it for Andrade. We just talked about Samoa Joe, character, a superstar to look for in 2020. And again, Samoa Joe should have already been a main eventer at this point. He's got the look, he's got the mic, he's got the presence. We've seen him the past 2 weeks, how he's dealt with top-tier superstars, with top-tier angles, and fans have certainly reacted to him the way that they should. But the real question is, where do we insert Samoa Joe into the Monday Night Raw equation? Where? He's not at the level of Brock Lesnar. He's not at the level of Drew McIntyre. He's not currently at the level of Seth Rollins or Kevin Owens. He's not quite there yet. So, give Samoa Joe a major angle going into WrestleMania. Give him a WrestleMania win. And from that, build probably into SummerSlam. Probably Samoa Joe might be ready for a big title run by August of this year. And finally, the 5th superstar to look for on Monday Night Raw for 2020, well, it's kind of a cheat. It's a tag team, and I'm talking about Street Profits. And you might be asking yourselves, well, if you put Street Profits in your list as superstars to look for in 2020, why not have him win the Raw tag team titles tonight on Monday Night Raw? Well, here's the reason. Number 1, it's not up to me. I don't make those decisions. I'm not a part of the WWE creative team. That's the main reason. Reason number 2 is the fact that, you have to build to your Street Profits getting to the top of the mountain. You have to build to that. Viking Raiders and the OC, they're stuck in the middle of the feud, and Street Profits, I believe right now, is just there to take the pinfall. Take the pinfall and eventually lead to a tag team title rematch at the Rumble, where the Street Profits are not involved. My prediction, Street Profits defeat the OC at WrestleMania to become the brand new Raw Tag Team Champions. That's my prediction right now, and that's why I think the Street Profits are a tag team and a superstar to look for on Monday Night Raw in 2020. But again, those are just my thoughts, those are just my predictions, and the way WWE handles their brand extension. Most of these stars might end up on SmackDown by the end of the year. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But who are your 5 superstars on the current Monday Night Raw roster to look forward in for 2020? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comments section below. Current, I believe he's the COO of WWE, Triple H, recently joined After the Bell, Corey Graves' fantastic podcast, in which he was asked about talent working with other places, and that eventually led into the fact that most of these places, most of the independent promotions, are going out of business because WWE is expanding. WWE is venturing into other territories and trying to make their mark on those territories, and as a result, some independent promotions are dying, or they are going out of business. And this is what Triple H had to say, and I quote, "I think all of that is important in that feeder system of what the business is. People misunderstood. I think even when we went to the UK and we were trying to accomplish there because of small thinking or short-sightedness. Yes, some of these indies are going to go away. The ones that are going to go away are the ones that were paying you $25 when they promised you $75. The ones that have a ring that didn't hold up, the ones that didn't have medical there, the ones that didn't care about you and were only booking you because you had a little bit of buzz, that were hoping to sell some tickets, and they didn't care what you did as long as you did it. We wanted to work with the ones that were cultivating talent, the ones that were encouraging them to become better, working with them on promos, giving them guidance on their matches, right or wrong, but that had the equipment that was functioning. They had medical care so that even if you were injured, you weren't just laying there for 45 minutes to try to figure out whether an ambulance was going to come or call you an Uber. All those things were important to us, and were the companies that we started to partner with and we let work for, and I think it's done just that. From my understanding and what I hear, the system has changed a lot. There's a lot more of the sort of policing it, and the talent being able to police it because they are not allowed to work for the ones that can't do it. Those companies don't last while others do, and for all the right reasons, they are thriving and others aren't. And Triple H has some truth to this entire situation, and that is that, yes, professional wrestlers, as any human being and as any laborer or as any professional in any business or industry, should be looking out for themselves. They should be looking out for their own protection, especially in such a physical business as is professional wrestling, where your career can be stopped like that, where your career can end like that, and your entire life situation could go down the drain. Triple H does have some truth on that. He also has some truth in the fact that the companies that can hold up their end of the deal, well, they're going to suffer the most when a company like WWE, which is so much professional, which is at the top of their game, comes into the fold and offers them something a whole lot better than what you've been offering them so far. That's another truth that he has to say, and I'm gonna state my truth right now, and that is that in business, when it comes to the bottom line, there are no sentiments, there are no emotions, there are no "I feel bad for you." It's a matter of, can you keep up? It's a matter of, are you good enough? It's a matter of, have you been doing things the right way or the wrong way? And when a business is trying to expand, they're doing it looking out for themselves. Sure, a company might go out of business, as many have in the past. The ones that did things right, the ones that have nourished their fan base for years and years and years and have created some brand loyalty, they will stick around. Others that have just went for the 15 minutes of fame, you have momentum, come over here, I'll give you a match, sell 50 more tickets, come on, let's make some money, let's make a quick buck. Those might not. And again, fans might look at WWE as the empire, as the bad guy, as the corporation. They're just doing business. It's the bottom line that matters. That's just that. That's just my view on this thing. And to close out on today's episode of ACB Wrestling Talk, Chris Jericho recently made an appearance at Wrestle Kingdom 14 for New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is very newsworthy because AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling aren't really on the best terms possible. Mostly because once AEW was formed last year, All Elite Wrestling took most of its well-known American-based talent for AEW and left New Japan Pro Wrestling with scraps, especially with the fact that New Japan Pro Wrestling has had plans to expand into the US in the books for quite a while now. But now Chris Jericho had some post-match comments after he beat Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom 14 in a non-title match. This is what Le Champion had to say, and I quote, "The forbidden door is closed, but I don't think it needs to be closed. Put aside all of the hurt feelings and egos." That's what the gist that Chris Jericho had to say. And that's mostly speaking out on the fact that maybe Chris Jericho, Le Champion, maybe AEW is looking to, work with New Japan Pro Wrestling in the US. Maybe they're looking to, whip up a working relationship agreement between the two companies. And maybe that'll add some excitement to AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Maybe that'll add some power to AEW in their current Wednesday Night Wars against NXT. Who knows? Now, if you ask me, I'm a guy that, I've said it before. I've said it multiple times before. I think you should support every single brand out there. You should not be supporting just one brand. But I'm not really a fan of brands and companies working together because it doesn't really end well. New Japan Pro Wrestling has its own interests. AEW has their own interests. Eventually, they're going to break up. Eventually, their interests are not going to coincide, and that's just going to throw away, 3, 4, 5, 6 months of interpromotional storylines and interpromotional wars that, in the end, it won't matter. So, that's just my view on things. You might have a different one. You might think that, I've read that there are some fans out there that believe that AEW and Japan Pro Wrestling and Impact and Ring of Honor, they should all be working together. They should all create this big old league to compete against WWE, to compete against the machine, and maybe then they can bring WWE down. Maybe. I don't know. That's 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 years away. Who knows? But again, I am more of a, let's have multiple brands. Yes, let's have multiple options, but stick to your brand, stick to your options, stick to your one company, and grow it eventually into something that can stand upon itself. That's my view on things. But again, if you have a different view, leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions on the comment section below. And that's done it. That's it for the first episode of 2020 right here on the Wrestling Talk YouTube channel. I've been Alexis Carrillo. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. If you like the content that you are currently watching right here on the channel, make sure you subscribe and share and tell your friends about it. Because, as I said in the intro, this is all about wrestling news and wrestling discussions in the most healthy way possible. So with that said, that's it for me. Till next time.